Welcome back to Negotiation Tactics. This week I would like to focus on the importance of gathering information, or as I will introduce in my PowerPoint in a moment, information as power. Particularly in classes in negotiation tactics, I encourage all of my students to slow down and take their time and use this often once in a lifetime opportunity to actively practice these skills, get feedback on how they're practicing the skills, even do a bit of reflective practice or evaluating how effectively you have practiced the skill, and then try again. Keep practicing that cycle over and over throughout the course. This is a low risk, no risk time for you to learn these skills. And generally our community, our classes, our groups are highly supportive. So please embrace this opportunity fully. Okay, and I'm here to help you however I can. You know, once you're in the fire of conflict in an actual real world negotiation, your anxiety, your stress is likely to go up, and you will appreciate all the practice that you did beforehand. Okay, let me turn to the PowerPoint for this week. Information as power, and the best negotiators refers to research of field-tested negotiation skills. Now, before I go on and introduce that research, most of the negotiation texts that you see in the world are not based on field research. They are based on somebody attempting to posture and present themselves as, excuse my language, but a hell of a negotiator when they really don't know what they're talking about. It's an ego book rather than a field-tested research book. In this course, I have determined to teach only what is actually proving itself in the real world. And Neil Rackham's labor management negotiation research is seminal. It's cutting edge because he made a point of studying actual labor management case studies and asking what was involved in negotiating agreements that satisfied all and endured. You know, it's fairly easy in our world today to bully someone into a very short-term something. I wouldn't call it an agreement. I would call it maybe a stalemate, giving in, something like that. But to actually know how to negotiate an agreement that satisfies all and endures the test of time, that takes real skill. What Rackham found is that poor inferior negotiators are arguing in their heads, mentally rehearsing how they are going to bully and dominate, and they were not the exemplary negotiators that he found. The best negotiators, in contrast, definitely went for what you're studying in this course, win-win integrative bargaining. And they were masterful gatherers of information, asking 2 to 3 more questions than the less successful, effective negotiators. Now, not all cultures welcome or feel comfortable with direct questions, but you get what he found. If you can find ways that are culturally sensitive and appropriate to gather information, you've got it. Because truly information is power with negotiation tactics. These were open-ended questions rather than closed, which can be answered with a yes, no. They were questions or whatever would truly encourage sharing of information, the other side talking to you. Now, sometimes you can gather this information by astute observation, reading of nonverbals. Once again, the focus is on gathering important information. The best negotiators in this research also listened carefully. They were active listeners, showing sincere interest in the other person. You can now get a picture of the poor inferior negotiator versus the effective negotiator. The poor inferior is focused on their own head, on their own mental thinking, on their own arguing, while the best negotiator is focused outside themselves. They are focused on the other negotiators and gathering information from these other negotiators. Now, listening actively is something you've all studied in our communication skills course. Hopefully you've been practicing it, because the best negotiators in this particular study not only listened actively, but they were able to ensure that they were accurately hearing and understanding the other side. I am going to focus more on this next week as I introduce levels of paraphrasing and active listening. If you have not yet taken 508, NCR 508, Communication Skills, listening actively begins by summarizing the most important points that you have heard the other person say at what we will talk about next week and label the surface level of paraphrasing. So you are summarizing what the other has explicitly and directly said to you. Whatever practice you can get in careful listening is going to benefit you as a negotiator. So once again, this week, I've given you a couple of recommendations, and I would ask you to be practicing them with real people in real situations. You know, we negotiate every day of our lives. We're negotiating how people see us, how they experience us, how they treat us. Moment to moment, you're going to find many opportunities to practice these skills. But even if you don't see a situation as a negotiation with another person, you will have many interpersonal opportunities at home, on the job, in your church or community, where you can still practice these specific skills. Good luck with doing so this week. See you next week.